So if you don't want to put it on that, put it on this.
Okay.
Oh,
so you can still go into the adapter plate if you really wanted to.
This should be used for oil supply of your turbo. Supplying a turbo for oil. You have 2 ports there.
Right.
Okay, if you want a direct turbo oil supply with a stainless line or something, use that. If you want to use this for your temp gauges, that's easier access, especially for wiring is already on top of the bay.
Exactly.
She's never said that to me.
Where did this go in here?
That goes there, yeah.
Hey guys, it's Adam Gordon here, Associate Editor at PASMAG, and we're here at Grassroots Performance in Toronto working on my S13 240SX. This is the first installment of what we're calling Project Reverse Entry. The idea behind the project is doing the opposite of most S13s. These cars are usually purchased new-ish, lightly used, and they're completely stripped down and brought to the track. What we're doing is we're going the other way around. I purchased a track-beaten, worn-down S13 with an SR20 swap, and I'm bringing it back to the perfect street car. So anybody who's had experience with an SR20 before knows that they're notoriously hot-running motors. And the best way around this is to add an oil cooler, which my friends here at Grassroots Performance have supplied. So Paul, do you want to explain to these guys here why the Grassroots oil cooler is the best bet for the SR20?
Well, if you do plan on doing some sort of spirited driving or even track driving, cooling is something you want to be on top of. So regardless of the size, 19 row, 10 row, 25 row, having the oil leave the block itself is already going to significantly lower your overall oil temps. But running it through a cooler, just like your fluid running through a rad, wind coming over it, if you have fans drawing through it, it's going to drastically reduce your running temperatures of your car. So if you're beating on this thing heavy, rev limiter heavy,
I would never.
You know, but never. No, people don't like us don't do that. But if you were to do that, at least you're ensuring that the longevity and the viscosity of your oil is maintaining peak performance, right?
Beautiful.
How much easier is it putting the filter there now?
About 100 times easier than trying to get under an SR with an intake manifold that doesn't let you move anywhere.
Exactly. And now watch when you go put your gauges in, oil pressure, oil temp, right there where you need it. Never mind having to dig underneath all that junk, trying to get it all hooked up. It's right up there up top.
Beautiful. Straight from here through the firewall to the gauge.
Done.
That's it, eh? Easy enough. I got a whole bunch of goodies here. Gauges, electronic stuff. I feel like an electrician.
You're an electrician.
I mean, you're an electrician.
Not really.
So we're here for day 2 of Project Entry, Project Reverse Entry. And we're at GT Custom Exhaust in Oshawa with my friend Mike, who runs the shop here. He's really good with electronics, and I'm not, so we're gonna try and get these AEM Electronics performance gauges into my car for some onboard diagnostics.
Because you opened it upside down, so like, ha, idiot, stop. Go the other way. Because when you open it this way, then they present it like very nice.
Right.
Looks really good.
Nice thing about AEM gauges is they come with everything you're gonna need in the box. So here we've got my oil pressure gauge. It's got the wiring to the oil pressure sensor, which thankfully my friends at Grassroots have put into their relocation kit already. So all we need to do is plug and play.
Also comes with lots of other, if you've got an American setup with different thread pitches, whatever you want, they come with a bunch of different adapters, which happens with a lot of gauges, because that's the 1/8 MPT, which is traditional size, but every application's different. So they give you a couple adapters. I like how it's all nicely loomed together already, so you're not gonna have like the wiring that's in there just hanging around everywhere. You can tie it up really nice. They make it really simple. You can have it so it dims when you turn your dash lights on at night. That's all if you're super fancy.
That's pretty fancy.
They give you another wire if you have a fancy standalone ECU, so you can send the input into your ECU, which is super cool. But at the end of the day, just to make the gauge work, you just need your power and ground.
Stickers! So my friends at AEM Electronics, our primary performance electronics sponsor of TBG Live, have supplied 3 gauges for me. There's boost, water temp, and oil pressure. In addition, my friends at Enjuku Racing sent over this sweet Street Faction gauge pod, which fits directly into my dashboard.
Oh, it fits the dash like perfectly
right?
with
Like,
the angle. It's nice.
Yeah, the shape is perfect. It just doesn't want to sit there.
Oh yeah, I could monitor that. 10 out of 10. Would look at.
right?
So the major first step of this probably is going to be, because we need to get some access in behind there, right? So we're going to end up taking off this center bezel here.
So do you want to take everything? Yeah, should we just take it all out?
Yeah. Threaded for her pleasure. Yeah, so we're gonna have to go get some tools for that so we can check that out. Same with these.
Wires, wiring connectors, electrical tape, crimpers and cutters, coolant temp adapter courtesy of ISR Performance, fuse box, shrink tube, fuses, coffee, and somebody who knows what they're doing.
So you'll notice with this harness, it's actually two, as I was just showing there, the power and the grounds and stuff, they're actually kind of two separate harnesses.
Okay.
In together, but it's just one plug that goes into the gauge, so don't get too confused. It's not too bad. Undo the cool little twist ties that your mom used to put bread together with. Ta-da!
Yeah,
so I'm just going to
perfect.
sneak inside the passenger compartment. If you just want to hold your hand right here, Adam, we already have this nice grommet that the previous owner already put stuff through.
Cool. Got it.
And feed that through right here. So I'm probably going to tuck it underneath the intake manifold.
Oh, awesome.
And just kind of run it through right here. Just tuck that down, and then that's beautiful. We'll tuck it all the way a little more after, because we're going to run the boost one through, and then Paul also provided you with a different gauge just for oil temperature, which he also put the sensor on, so I'm probably going to end up tying it to that wire that we ran through, so they just sit side by side.
That's awesome.
And then the boost one's going to come through the same hole, and we're just going to run it behind the back of the valve cover probably.
Okay. So thanks to my buddies at Grassroots Performance, I've got my ISR temp coolant adapter wired up with a sensor. The oil relocation kit also has two sensors on it. It's got a oil pressure and an oil temp sensor. So the sensor from the ISR coolant adapter, which measures my coolant temperature, runs neatly loomed across the front of the engine, meets up with these two sensors as well, which then go through the firewall. So Mike here at GT Customs has wired up this super sweet blade fuse box, and it allows basically each gauge to function on its own unique circuit. And finally, the whole thing crescendos up here with my 4 gauges, 3 of them from AEM Performance Electronics, the primary sponsor of our TBG Live competition, and 1 from my good friends at Grassroots Performance, which goes with their oil relocation kit. That's my oil temperature gauge. Up here we've got oil pressure, we've got water temp, and of course, boost. And they look pretty fancy when everything comes together. In a lot of ways, the reverse entry project is just as much of a backwards entry for myself as much as it is for the car. It's my first manual transmission, and it's my first rear-wheel drive car, and my mechanical expertise is almost non-existent outside of dirt bikes and small motors. I've learned a lot during the making of the first chapter, and I think those skills are going to be invaluable moving forward, especially with my friends Clarion involved, but we'll get to that in the next chapter. There's still a long way to go with this car, but honestly, I'm really happy with the progress so far.